Welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Dahya. I'm so grateful that you're here listening or watching this podcast episode. Would love for you to share this episode with your friends, your family, and your workmates. And if you haven't already done so, please follow or subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss another episode and we can get this podcast out to the wider community. Today, our guest is Athin Cassiotis. He's a business growth expert, investor, international speaker, coach, mentor, consultant, and a podcast host of the Business Growth Show. Athin helps business owners grow and scale their businesses to create wealth and freedom in life. He does this through his 9 Keys of Business Growth Success MBA system, using a virtual and in-person events and coaching mentoring sessions. He's helped businesses and owners all around, like 30 odd industries across 10 countries and with 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure business clients to create wealth and freedom using his MBA and being the NLP Master Practitioner. Let's welcome Athin Cassiotis to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. Welcome, Athin.
Thanks, Anthony. Awesome to be here, mate. Back again and adding more value to your audience.
Oh, it's great to have you back. I'm sure there was lots that you've thought about in the meantime to talk about. And last time we spoke, we talked about going into a bit of spiritual stuff, spiritual growth, also going into a bit of consciousness, and also the quantum physics. Those are all topics that I absolutely love. So I want to hear it from the master.
Awesome, mate. We're all masters and ascending masters as we grow better over time. So happy to add value as much as I can to help people to become more aware.
Absolutely. We're all masters in our own right? So,
definitely.
So Athin, you've helped countless business owners grow and scale their businesses, but I'm curious to know, how do concepts like consciousness and the awareness play in a role in achieving business growth and success?
Yeah, it's extremely important because I can tell the same strategies to 10 people and we'll get 10 different results. And a lot of the time it's because of their mindset. And the way to shift the mindset is to become more conscious. So it's being aware of how am I operating as a person, because most of our beliefs happen in the first 7 years of our life. A lot of people don't know this, right? So from 0 to 7 years old, that's where most of our beliefs happen, which is from our parents, people that we've grown up with, our environment around there. So positive, negative, limiting beliefs, whatever, right? That come up there. So there's a lot of that stuff that comes up, and then we're not aware of it. And then when we get, into adulthood and into our working life, as we're doing things, we are doing things or not doing things unconsciously. We're not sure why. So it's being aware. Why do I procrastinate on this? Why do I react emotionally to this? Why is this affecting me in my day-to-day life? Or why am I staying comfortable here? Why is it hard to make money or whatever, right? Like that, there's so many different variations that could come up. So you need to be more conscious and go, okay, I'm not just here in this life to just trug along, be safe and just work and go home and not do much, right? To me, growth is a very high value of my high, human need as well. So the way to do that is to be aware of myself and be conscious, going, well, what do I need to learn more of? And then it's like a mirror, right? Because most people, whatever people say to you or what triggers you is normally a reflection, right, of yourself. So if you say, there's a couple of different examples here. Like if you say, oh, that she's such a bitch, right? Or something like that. It's probably because you've got some bitch tendencies, right? To say the little words that I'm coming out of here. Or that person's, I'll use some funny words like asshole or whatever like that, right? If you use some of these words, you've got these elements within yourself. So it's being aware of that, right? And then it's also then, if someone's saying something to you or triggering you, like you're reacting emotionally, and maybe you get angry or maybe you get sad or whatever that emotion is, could be excitedness, right? Like that is there to teach us something. It's there to help us to grow. Because in this lifetime, my understanding is we're here to learn lessons and we're here to grow as a person and as a spirit at the same time, because we're only basically a human having a spiritual experience, right? We're a spirit having a human experience. That's the way that it is, right? Here in this three-dimensional reality. And the only way to be aware of that is to become conscious about what's happening with us internally, how we've been brought up, and then what's happening externally that is allowing us to grow from that. And then what are we going to do about that? Do we just, this is the cards that we've been dealt, or do we actually go, how do we change this? How do we adjust the way that we're doing so that we can achieve what we want to achieve in this lifetime, and then attain whatever that is, like that fulfillment, that joy, whatever is, really important to you.
And do you find that people are aware of that, and people are open to change?
Some more than others, definitely. It depends who you hang around. I think as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to be. On the entrepreneurship journey, it's really a personal development journey. If you don't upgrade yourself, your business will probably die, right? That's basically the way that it is, because a business is normally a reflection about the business owner or the entrepreneur, basically. So you have to be. So if someone doesn't want to change and they're stuck, they want to argue and all of that, and they don't want to grow, it's like, well, I can't help that person, right? That's up to them. So that first they have to be open, and sometimes we may need to help them be more open. And normally, when we become more open, then it's like they get some results, and it's like, wow, okay, me doing this stuff on my mindset, being more conscious how I'm operating, has actually helped me in my life better, but also in my business. I should do more of this, right? So it's like a cascading effect of starting to see some results about enjoying yourself in what you're doing. So I think that's the important part. And then, working with people that do want to change, and we don't know what we don't know, right? So this is where coaches and mentors, like I work with, and I'm sure you do, and I help people with as well, is it's harder to work out what that deep thing is that inside of you that is stopping you from being more conscious and holding you back, those patterns, those behaviors, those beliefs. You need someone externally to take you through a process to make you aware, to hold the mirror, right, to your face and go, this is what's happening. Let's work through this, instead of being reactive. It's going, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm willing to change. Let's change together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you're saying that becoming conscious and aware can really help with the beliefs or the limitations that we have as business business owners and so on.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're being more conscious as a person, you're also connecting to people, because in the end, in business, or generally relationships, right? It's all relationships. People buy from people. People want to hang around people they want to hang around. So when you're connecting to people, first, your environment dictates most of your success as well. So are you hanging around people that are negative all the time, that are, let's just say you're a business owner, that they're just in a job, nothing wrong with a job, right? But it's like, they're different to you, that they're playing a more simpler game. They just want to do the hours and go home, relax. Or do you want to hang around people that are hungry to grow like you, that are wanting to go to that next level, right? So being aware of who you're hanging around, and ideally having at least one, if not multiple people that are further down the line than you, right? In whatever area. It doesn't have to be just business. Could be mindset wise, health wise, whatever, right? That you have these people that are hanging around with you on, so that you're putting yourself in a particular play that's going to make you more conscious, more aware, and cheering each other on, right? More positive people there. So I think that's really important. Instead of just hanging around your friends for decades just because you went to school with them. I was fortunate that I moved from Adelaide to Sydney, and that really skyrocketed my growth, because I had to change and I was away from that environment. Most people don't get out of their environment, and it's hard to fire people in your life that are not necessarily good, and sometimes they're family members as well, right? That are bringing you down. The friends are easier to get rid of. But and a lot of the time I don't say fire them. It's more about like drifting. So basically going, I'm not just going to contact that person anymore. Or like, if I play soccer with people, I'll leave a simple example like soccer, right? So when I play soccer with guys, most of them are not at the point or have the same ambitions or drive as business owner elements that I want to do and I want to hang around a lot of, right? So I will go play soccer. We'll have a bit of a chat. We're talking about the game. Great. I get that health and fitness element, helps me there. But I'm not going to necessarily go hang out with them for hours after that, because that could be detrimental to me, right? I go there for a specific purpose there that benefits me in my values and what I want to do. So it's being aware of who those people are and what you're doing. And when you're more conscious of that, then you start to go, who do I want to hang around? What are the conversations I want to hang around? And when you start to hang around those high level people that are there to grow together, it's like massive, right? Because the standards up here, it's not like, oh, I just want to stay comfortable and relax at home. It's like, man, I'm doing this. What are you doing? You're like, far out. I got the herd, right? The standard is here. I've got to lift myself to this standard, or I've got to learn more to be able to talk on these guys' level, because they're playing a whole nother ball game, and that excites me, right? It's not like, oh, they're up there. It's like, oh, no, I can be there as well. I can be at a similar level. I want to learn more. Let me ask the right questions. Let me be curious about learning more. How can I add value to these people? And when you start to do that, you start to create really powerful connections with people, because it doesn't matter if someone's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and you don't have huge amounts of money, right? Like, you just normal amounts, let's just call it. But you can always add value to these people in a lot of other ways with your energy, with your mindset. It doesn't always have to be just about money, right? With what these people are around health, and they can get value from you, right? And vice versa. So understanding where you can do that, and the more you are conscious, the more that you can hang around these people. That's why I've interviewed so many big names on my podcast. That's why I can hang around with those people that are at big levels, because I know how to add value to them and how to have a great energy. So people are like, wow, Athin's very conscious. I enjoy hanging around him. I know that I'll get out, I'll get something out of it, even if it's just me feeling better, let alone maybe some deals or partnerships that we could do as well.
Mm-hmm. And so if people are struggling to get, how would you go about distancing yourself, or getting, I wouldn't say get rid of people, but how do you keep those people at an arm's length when they've been a huge part of your life?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. My parents, right? Love them as always. And they did the best saying to think about is people do the best they can with what they've got, right? So my parents were not necessarily conscious. They just taught me what their parents taught them, right? And maybe added a little bit extra, right? About what they were doing. Whereas me and my wife now, and what we're doing is we're changing the paradigm about what we've learned, because we've bettered ourselves and learned so much and become much more conscious and improved our mindset, that we're debunking a lot of these things and going, well, what do we want to do intentionally? We're not just following the previous thing, right? So, but you have empathy, and you understand that they're just doing the best they can, right? Like it's not their fault, right? That the way that they are, it's the way they were brought up. So with my parents, I've helped them over the years where possible to get a better mindset, but they're still, quite negative generally, right? And the older someone is, it is a generalization, but the harder they are to change, because they've been doing it for a lot of period of time. You speak to my wife's nonna that's 90 years old. It's very hard to change what she does, right? In a thing there, she's been doing it for 90 years. Whereas, your parents maybe, mine are in their 60s. So, there it's like, okay, well, what's, it's still harder for them. Not as hard, but it's up to them whether they want to change. They may not want to change, right? And they don't necessarily. They don't have that same drive as what I do. So with my parents, what I did is I limit my phone call with each of them once a week, right? I message every day if you want to message me, things like that. So then I'm not being bombarded with negative things every day that could pull me down. It's like we could talk for as long as we want, half an hour, longer, whatever, right? We pick a day of the week or adjust it, and we do that. So I limit myself in putting, that's even with my parents, right? You know what I mean? And then like, you've got siblings, you've got cousins, aunties and uncles, whatever like that. Like if there's people that are bringing you down because they're quite negative, you've just got to limit the exposure to them, right? Like you go to a family gathering, don't go there for 6 hours if it's like really full on. Go there for 2. Go there, do your hellos, whatever you got to do, and go. My well-being, my mindset is more important than just hanging around with these people. It's more about quality time, not quantity of time, right? Like, and that's the way I like to think about it. And you may have to reframe those people around you. I think that's the harder one, right? Around the family, because you're blood and you've got to, obliged or whatever, to speak to these people or catch up with them. But you can do that in a controlled manner. Then your friends, it's just about Do your friends have the same drive or similar, to what I said? Do you just distance yourself to stop hanging around them? And sometimes they're going to challenge you. Or, if you're saying you've got an idea and you want to do this, are they going, yeah, awesome, do your thing? Or are they going, you can't do that? Or what are you talking about? Go chill out, just go back to, you know what I mean? Are they up, are they cheering you on? And a lot of people won't. And it's because of the reflection thing that I talked about before, where it's because they can't do it. So if you've got these big ideas, that they're telling you can't do it because they can't do it. It's not necessarily that you can't do it. You got to distance yourself from them. Just go, listen, I don't care what you're saying. I'm doing this anyway. Or if someone tells me something that's negative, let's say you have to be around these people, right? And I'm at a thing and they have a view on something. And as they say is, hey, that's fine. You can have your own beliefs. I understand that. That's what you want to believe. This is what I believe about this situation. And I will reiterate about my positive, my uplifting, my expansive thoughts around that topic. And I do it in a nice way. And it also allows me to reaffirm the way I believe instead of just taking the negative in. And then hopefully, if you do it with a curious tone and you can make them curious about it, they start to be like, oh, that's interesting, right? Instead of you're not shoving it down their throat, so to speak, like that. So that's what I do in those situations. And you can start to change people, but it's like an uphill battle. It's like, Rocky, movies where, you keep hitting the thing and going back. So you've got to keep pushing, which is it's hard, right? Like it's an effort when you got these people. Whereas why put yourself in this situation where you have to keep pushing the positive stuff and everything against them or the limiting stuff and you go and you're uplifting, whereas you may as well just hang around people where you don't have that resistance and it's more just uplifting stuff. And all of a sudden you're not getting pulled back or having to hit something. You're just like skyrocketing forward.
Awesome. That's good advice. So, Athin, is there any particular practice or mindset shift you can recommend for entrepreneurs wanting to grow both spiritually and financially?
Yeah. So the mindset's so important, right? And spiritual growth is a very powerful game too. And everyone's at different levels here. And there's so many multifacets of this, of how I go down this, right? So maybe I'll talk about a few concepts, and in the end, it's up to you. We'll get as deep as we can in this podcast, and maybe it will help the people that are listening to delve a little bit further. If I go in a very simple sense, I'll start from NLP in my master practitioner training, neuro-linguistic programming. For those that don't know what NLP is, there's a thing in the master practitioner training called spiral dynamics. I recommend you Google this, right? And it basically talks about different value systems of people, right? And they're different colors they're normally talked about. So understanding that, red is like the people that are narcissistic and they will do anything. They don't care what happens to other people. Then the next level is like blue, where this is the majority of society. I think it's about 40%, where people are indoctrinated into a system, into a hierarchy, people that have jobs, work for people, religion, these types of things, right? Then you've got the next level, which is, what is it after blue? It's then orange. So orange is the entrepreneurial side. This is where it's like an up leveling of red, where you're doing things to make money, but you're not narcissistic. You're not hurting people, but the focus is money, right? In that area there. Then the next one, green, think about greenies. It's being more, I guess, spiritual here. It's being more, open to other things about, being about community and what you can do here. Now, each of these, there's more, a bit before that, a bit after that. But I'll just highlight these few here that the majority of the society are in, and understanding that where you are, there's positives and negatives in each of these stages, and there's different value beliefs. So like a green, you may think, oh, these guys are just chilling out and whatever, and they're just good people. They just want peace and love and stuff. But you could have someone that's really fanatical that protests all the time because they're green. They love protesting about rights and all of that, right? So there's positive and negatives, right? And it can be out there on both sides of this. So someone in the orange that's really just money hungry, even in the orange section, that's not hurting anybody, but doesn't care about their health, doesn't care about their mindset. They just want to make money, right? So it's understanding that there's a balance here, right? About not being too pro or not. And you can normally you have one that you're mainly in. You can have elements of others. So it's more about being aware of that, right? Of that. That's where people are at in their journey. People choose to be there, and it takes being really conscious, as we've been talking about, to move up those levels within the spiral dynamics. So I recommend everybody check that out. So that's one element, right, of that like spiritual growth journey. Another one is understanding that, and this is proven with like epigenetics and things, where what our beliefs is not just what we've done in this lifetime, it actually comes from our genetics in 7 previous lifetimes. So your ancestors of 7 previous lifetimes, their genetic code is within us right now. So if your family lived through the wars, World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, these things, and they were there, that is living within us, depending on where they were at that period of time. So being aware that we not only have to deal with our mindset of what we've done from 0 to 7 and there in our age, it's actually working on stuff previously to that, right? And then there's also the concept around past lives, right? Now, some of you may think that's a bit far-fetched. I believe in past lives, and I've had a lot of readings and things about interesting past lives to me. And it's so interesting that everything is a physical manifestation, comes from something much deeper in us. So if you have a pain somewhere, or if you've got something physically, it means that something emotionally or belief wise needs to change on either your normal core level, or maybe it's a genetic level or a past life level, to be able to shift that physically, generally, right, in this area here. So this is a big concept. So being aware that, I'll give an example, right, of one for me. So my throat, right? When I was born, I was born with an umbilical cord around my throat. I wasn't breathing, right? I was blue for like a minute. They got that out. And then growing up, it was hard for me to breathe. I had the croup, which is my wind tunnel would be smaller than a straw. And I used to have a vaporizer in my room all the way up to about 14 to 16 years old, right? It was challenging. And they said I would grow out of it. And I sort of did. But then even then, I had challenges with my throat. I was always coughing, all these things, right? So it's like, okay, this is from birth. Now, what's going on? There's all the, you start to be going, did I just do this hand? But then when I started going to people that could read these things and talked about stuff, they talked about this past life experience where, I was someone that was talking my truth, that was going outside the norm, right, of what it was. And I was hung for it in a previous lifetime, right? And this was showing up. So when they looked at this problem, they were transported back to this area, and they had to go in and clear that and remove that from my experience now. And once they did that, most of the issues with my throat went.
And
massive, right?
And the umbilical cord wrapped around was a representation of
Exactly, right? About being hung and not being able to speak my truth, right? So it was like that was coming into this lifetime. And, it's a powerful story. I don't really share this very much with you guys, but this is, most people are not aware. They're just going through life thinking it's just this lifetime that's holding them back, but there can be other things. And there's so many other different experiences that I've gone through, and I'm always open, right? Like there's so many different ways. Like you could do simple things like, coaching, of course. Then you could do things like Reiki or kinesiology, things like that people are called of. Then you could do deeper healing type practices, a lot of different modalities, right? Of what you could do. And, as much as I'm big on business, big on mindset, and that's all I do, I'm always open to learning more and getting a shift in one way, especially for the things that I'm not aware of. And these people have skills, and I trust my instincts, my intuition, my gut feelings on going, hey, what you're doing is interesting. I don't really understand it, but I'm open to having a session with you. I think that's what I'm trusting that message, and I will do it. And something amazing will come out of it, and it will give me a shift, right? In that area there that can help me move forward, whether it's some awareness or a bigger shift like that. So that's some examples around how you understand how we are brought in this world, and getting help from people that can help shift something that could be massive, in this lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly believe what you just shared. And yeah, absolutely right. And there must have been something in my past lives or past generations, because I've been through so much trauma in my life. But the thing is, I've like you said, I've been aware, I've been conscious about what's coming up, and working through that, and feeling it, and well, we've been brought up to repress our feelings, suppress them, right? And that suppression can then create repressed feelings, which then which affect us in our life. So let's dive into a little bit around the quantum physics. So quantum physics has shown that our thoughts and energy can impact our reality. How do you incorporate this idea of energetic influence or intention into your coaching and mentorship?
Yeah, I love the topic of quantum physics, and it's such a big topic. And I'm going to explain this as simply as possible, and definitely recommend people to delve deeper into it. So basically, we're swimming in a sea of energy, right? So whether it's us as people, the physical desk, the computer, it's all atoms and molecules that are vibrating. And the majority of that, like 99.9%, is actually space, right? It's not actually the molecule. It's just vibrating at a certain frequency to create our physical being or a physical product, right? There. So understanding that. And in terms of energy, there is tension, right? And a simple way that I would explain this is around water. So you think about water, depending on the tension and the energy going around it and what happens, then there can be different forms of that water. So if you talk about heat, right? So you got normal water that you get. Now, once you start to boil that water, it starts to become vapor, starts coming off, right? And then you can completely remove that water. It becomes vapor in the air, and then it completely actually evaporate, right, into the atmosphere. And that's where you get like, areas where there's more humidity, right? It's just the water in the air, right? That's there, but you can't see it. It's not physical vapor. Or you could freeze the water and it becomes ice and it becomes solid, right? At the same time. So it's a really great way to go, well, there's tension, there's, heat out there that can affect the molecules in different ways. It's the same with us. And there's a lot of great work. Mazamatu Atoma or Okoto, I can't remember his exact name, where he did these studies on water and he put these intentions, like putting a word on water, and he looked them under a microscope, and positive words or things like that looked amazing. And things like, fear or anger or, these things like that just looked full on, like they looked bad underwater. So it's amazing. One word on like 30 bottles of water, when they looked under a microscope, that intention of that word changed the molecules of the water. And what are we as people? We're made of approximately 70% water.
Yeah.
So what we think, everything like that, and how we are affects how we are being, right? In terms of that. So that study about those thoughts and about those words, positive, negative, affect us. So that means that our intentions, we need to be aware of our thoughts. And we talk a lot about this around the mindset side. Now, this is proven, right, in quantum physics now, how there's all of this energy that is around us. So when you understand that everything is there and what we're putting out, there's a thing called string theory as well, which basically means that everything is connected. This is where, have you ever thought about someone and then they've called you like a minute later, right? I'm sure everybody's at least once, if not, over their lifetime, it's happened because there was a connection. You picked up the signal from wherever they were that they were thinking of you. Then they picked up their phone and then you got the call, right? So we are all connected with everybody around us. So understanding that's very powerful. And then the element of intention here, if you think of the word intention, we talked about tension being part of energy that changes molecules. So we're putting intention into that. We're putting attention and changing what we're wanting to create. So being intentional is really important so that when you're really clear about what you want, you are able to create that, to manifest that, whatever word that you want to do. So the clearer the intention, the clearer and the faster that you will be able to create that, to manifest that. Now, it could be instant. That could take minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, sometimes, right? It depends on what it is and how aligned you are. And when you think about it from a vibrational perspective, what it basically means is that every area of what you want in your life or level of success, if we talk about in business, is a vibration. So when you understand that, these people are very successful, they're being at a particular vibration or a particular amount of money. So if we talk about money, it's like, how do I get myself into that vibration? Because then the money will come to me, right? Or maybe it's around health or feeling love or these other things like that, right? In your life that you're wanting to do, then you're going to get yourself to that vibration and then you will be able to attract that. I had a really cool story where I went through a guided meditation at an event. Long story short, I I was single for 10 years. I asked for my perfect woman at that event. It was really specific in my mind, 30 to 50 things. And then I manifested, created my wife instantly at that event, right? So
Wow.
really, really powerful story, goes for a lot longer, but for
Yeah.
timing space. So that's when you're at the right vibration, right? And you're really clear on the intention. That's how quick something can come. Now, there's a lot
Mm.
of other factors, but as long as you're focusing on what you want, this is the power of coaching and mentoring, right? When you understand all of this, you've got the right thoughts, feelings, beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, feelings, and you're going in the right direction. You know where you're going, you're really clear, and you're working towards that, then you will attract it, right? In your life from a level of being or a level of creating something physically as well. So
Yeah.
that's a very quick snapshot of quantum physics. And
Yeah.
then is really powerful to be able to understand that quantum physics, quantum mechanics, all those areas there. Yeah.
Yeah, because where your attention goes, your energy will flow. And as we raise our energy, our vibration to the right frequency, then we become a magnet to attract what is already waiting for us to be attracted. Whatever we're seeking is also seeking us. So when we do that, we raise our vibration. That's when we manifest it. And I've done that many times in my life. I remember at the age of 26, marriage was just about to break up, had a stillborn baby, and I was doing shift work. And I said to this lady at work, "I'm leaving," and she said, "No, you can't. You've got lots of knowledge, and we need you." I said, "Well, okay, you've got one week to get me this role as a draftsman. I want to earn $32,000 a year, and start on the first of May or something like that." And a week later, she came back exactly what I asked for. And then a few years ago, I always wanted a Mazda CX-5. And as soon as I put my attention there, all I could see was Mazda CX-5s everywhere. And even my daughter was like going to the library, and she was telling everyone that my dad was going to buy a Mazda CX-5. And then 2 weeks later, I bought the house. I bought the car. And the same thing happened with my house. I was looking for houses. I was getting frustrated. And I said, "You know what, universe, God, I've had enough. This is what I want." And I was so specific about it. I said, it's got to be near the beach. It's got to be fully fenced. It's got to be tranquil, 3 bedrooms, blah, blah, blah. And within 2 weeks, bang, it came, you know? So,
Amazing stories. I love
yeah.
that. The
So,
specificness that what you just said is the gold, right? The more
yeah.
specific you are, then it knows exactly what you want to be able to attract it. So love it.
Exactly. And I also recommend that if you're watching, listening to this, write it down, because when you write it down, it actually, you're cementing it, you're actually making it something, a living thing.
Yeah.
Also, we must watch our words, the way we speak, what we say about ourselves, because that can stop our, that can lower our energy, and we then go into that survival mode, and then our energy vibrational drops as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
Loving this
One,
topic.
yeah. One thing I'll add as well, great points as well. Definitely agree with you, Anthony, there is the thing I did with my wife in my head, and I recommend you do this when you write it down, is write about what you want,
Mm,
also write what you don't want. Because as
mm,
humans, we're naturally wired to complain about things or know what we don't want, right? And if it's a relationship, think about past relationships. It's about your current car or past cars or house or whatever like that. Like, what do you not want? So you might get a list of 15 things that what you want, and you might get a list of 30 things about what you don't want. And then you flip those
mm,
30 things into the positive elements of that. And all of a sudden, you have a list of 45 things instead of just a list of 15 things. And that becomes really powerful intention there. And that's what I did in my head to be able to create that quickly. So that would be my
mm,
additional tip of when you do it. And then you'll be able to create what you want, whatever that is. Yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah. So, could you, how can businesses apply the concept of thought shaping reality in the everyday business practice?
What type of reality was it?
Thought shaping reality.
Thought shaping reality. Yeah. So realistically, when you're, whatever you think is how you act, right?
Mm,
And every time you get a negative thought, it's going to pull you back. Like, being aware is, if you're supposed to be doing a sales call, are you procrastinating a little bit and going, I might just go for that walk quickly, or I'll check my emails first, or, like of the task, the important task, or maybe something your coach and mentor is giving you, or something you should be doing that's important, but you're doing something else. So it's becoming aware of that and going, okay, well, it's probably a mindset thing. It's probably going, oh, maybe I'm not going to get that sale because the last 2 sales calls I got didn't happen, right? Or there's something going on internally with you that is holding you back. So then you need to be aware and go, okay, well, what do I want to believe, right? About switching that, understanding what that belief is, switching it around and going, well, what do I want to believe in the present tense? I'm a master at sales, whatever it is, I'm great at sales, whatever that thing is, and then focus on that, right? And once you focus on what you want, everything starts to change. And sometimes it's like if you train to think negatively, it's like you've got to rewire yourself, right? And start to do this over time. And the more you do it, you start to become better. And then you start to think, okay, this is what I want. Being really clear, saying it in the present tense is important as well. Then say it in the future, because it'll always be in the future. Say it in the present tense. And then that's what you focus on. And think about the result of that, right? Like bring it back to your vision, your mission, your purpose, your legacy. Like, why are you actually doing this business? It's not just to help people in the business. That might be part of it, right? But there's bigger things that you're doing this for, to be able to help, an obligation to a lot of other people, to create a massive impact to your family, to your children, to future generations, to the impact you can do in the world, whatever that is. When you understand that element there, it's like, it's much bigger than you going, wow, I don't want to do this call or do this particular task right now in your business. So when you can connect to that, there's a level of energy and level of passion that you can bring to what you do, becomes extremely powerful in doing that. And then allowing yourself to go along that journey and being open to changing your mindset and area there. And if you can't do it yourself, if it's challenging, find coaches and mentors, right? Or even consultants like myself, like yourself, Anthony, or other people out there that can help guide you to do this specifically tailored to you. And all of a sudden, it could be massive impact, right? Like I had a client, multi-million-dollar trades business, found me online through a podcast, reached out, this chat, and I could tell it was his mindset. Went from 15 staff to 5 staff, cash going down, all these things. And he was successful before. And I said to him, let's work for 12 months. And then I said, let's do a mindset session first, because I could tell it was bad. I did one mindset session with him. His next month in his business, he had his biggest month ever in his business. And I just did one mindset session on him, right? To change the way he thought about things. And then we did the strategies and tactics after to maintain that and continue that. It just shows you how powerful this is. So you can do it yourself with what I'm telling you, what we're telling you here today. It can be powerful if someone else, you give the opportunity to someone to invest in them, to help you, the shortcut, right? That's why coaches, mentors are there, because one shift like that, look at it, turns his whole business around within a month of doing that. So that's the power of your thoughts to create the business success and the reality that you want.
Yeah, because our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions create reality, right? So if we change those thoughts and feelings and emotions, and then we're going to be in a better mindset as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the spiritual growth and the business growth. They may seem like different parts, but when you merge them into your work, what does spiritual growth mean to you, and how does it enhance business success?
Yeah, spiritual growth is a very interesting topic, right? And spiritual to me is above religion, right? Religion is the element of that, right? And I don't really talk about religion or politics, and everyone's got different beliefs, which is fine, but it's all a spiritual thing. It's like you believe that there is a higher power out there, right? That is helping us on this journey. We're not here doing this by ourselves, right? We're getting assistance with quantum physics, with our intention as an example, right? Of being able to create these things from the universal perspective. those laws that happen in the universe, as well as then from a spiritual perspective of being able to put ourselves out there and get answers for things. And this is like intuition, and you're getting, ideas and things like that, like in your mind. So there's that element of being aware that there's something else that's guiding us, right? And if we're open to hearing those things, and we're putting, our right foot forward, that we will be guided and helped on that journey. So I think that's number one about the spiritual growth side. There's also levels of spiritual growth as well. So understanding that not everybody is ready to be a Gandhi or, really big spiritual leaders, even if you call it like Jesus or Muhammad or these people, right? That were like extremely ascended masters, right? They went to that sort of that full on stage there. So understanding that everyone's on a different scale. And the way I understand it is that there's like 10 levels of spiritual evolution. And when you start to get to level halfway point is when you start to become more aware and understanding that, okay, maybe there is something more out there I need to grow, and being able to connect to this thing. The people on the lower levels, they're just doing the day-to-day. They don't care about this stuff, right? And they're not there. Now, in between these, this is lifetimes that I'm talking about now, right? We talked about past lives. So the way I believe that our soul happens, and this is my belief, up to you, right? What you want to believe is that we are reincarnated in this world. So we go here to learn lessons in this lifetime, and that's what we're here to do. And then when it's our time to move on, then we get reincarnated, and it's like the next level of lessons. And these are these spiritual ages, right? These spiritual journeys, these 10 levels. And it could be 20 lifetimes in each of these, right? So you start to look at it, we're talking like 200 lifetimes or something, like to go all the way up, depending on, how old you are as a soul. And I won't go into too much depth there, but basically, so depending on where you're at on that journey, and then understanding that everyone's at a different level as well. And if you're aware enough of this, then you can move up, but you can't go from, level 4 to level 9, right? Like within a lifetime, you might be able to go up 1 or 2 potentially, how aware you are and how open you are. And then working out, okay, what do I need to do myself as a being to uplift myself to move forward on this spiritual journey? It's really understanding about self, and losing the concept of the ego and the things that keep us safe, right, from those primitive minds, and transcending beyond that, about something that's bigger out there, that we are asking for answers and we're getting answers out there. And whether you want to believe me or not, right, there's a lot of evidence that comes into this, right, from different elements. And if you look at what people do, they're all saying similar things. It's just in a different way of how this works. So when you understand that, then it's like, okay, well, where do I want to be in this lifetime? What impact do I want to make in this lifetime? Who can help me to become aware of what I need to do to grow as a spirit in this lifetime? And when you have those people that are connected, because some people are extremely connected, right? In there, in these people. I remember when I was in Dubai, I was with the Real Housewives of Dubai couple, Sergio and Caroline, and Caroline was talking about her psychic, right? That she sees when she makes big decisions. And she's talking about this story where she was going to buy this house. I won't go deep into her story just for timing wise, but I was like very interested in this, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go visit this guy. I'm in Dubai. He was there physically. So I booked an appointment, was able to make a time while I was there. And this guy was extremely connected, right, to that element there. So he was telling me things about myself and about my past, and that no one would know unless I told them, right? So when you're aware of that, it's going, wow, some people are really connected to this energy, right, that's out there that has the answers. So can you see these people? And especially for big decisions or for guidance, it's good sometimes to be able to see these people. And she was supposed to buy a property. She didn't buy it because it was a dream house, but she didn't say to it. And then soon after that, this big issue happened with all these properties, and everyone got, didn't get a great result from whoever bought those properties. And she was sold on it, but she went to him and he says, don't do it. Whatever you do, I'm just telling you, do not do it. Right. So you're like, wow, can this person really look at the future? Well, the way when you understand quantum physics, and I'll bring this back to the spiritual journey, is that there are infinite moments that are happening now. There are multiple realities happening right now. And we choose what reality that we want. So there are multiple possibilities, let's call it right now. So this is where time is not linear. Time is infinite, right? It is quantum. So this is why I was able to compress time and manifest my wife instantly through the vibration element, right? So there are multiple possibilities now. So whatever you do, you can choose what to do in that time. So you don't have to wait years to do things. You can compress time. So it's a really powerful concept when you understand this. And when you're aware that there are multiple opportunities and it's up to me to choose what I want to focus on and how I want to grow, what connection I want to do, then bang, our business opportunities start opening up. And from thinking that things going to take years, you could just get one opportunity, one thing that comes in, bang, you just get massive growth and all these other opportunities. You just have to be aware of them. And this is the conscious awareness part that comes in the spiritual growth, because there's the story about this guy who was lost out at sea and he's like, oh, please help me and get me there, and then this this boat came and he's like, yeah, I'm here to help you. No, don't help me. I'm waiting, to be saved. And then this plane came over. I'm here to help you. No, don't help me. Right. And then he died. And he's like, well, why didn't you help me? He goes, what do you mean? I sent the boat, I sent the plane and you still did it. You know what I mean? Like, still didn't go up to be helped. So it's like, are you aware of what's coming up around you to be able to grow the people, the opportunities, the areas for growth? And that will help you on your spiritual journey, which will in turn help your life, help your business journey, help all of that. That becomes part of it. So hope that helps give a bigger picture of the possibilities of what you can do in this life.
Absolutely. It does. And how has your own journey, your spiritual journey, influenced your approach and what's your own journey been like?
Yeah, like it's been an interesting journey, right? And there was a lot of things that I did when I wasn't so aware, right? Growing up in Adelaide, parents as high school teachers, dropping out of year 12, getting a job, doing a lot of good things. They moved me to Sydney. And then was doing a lot of stuff there. And it wasn't really until towards the end of my business journey, I started doing my MBA, started being more curious about growth at university there, about business, right? And then also about personal growth. And it was funny that I got into a network marketing company. I'm sure everyone's been either in one or approached for one. And it was about health. And I actually didn't care as much about the network marketing side. I care about the health and the personal development side. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I started becoming more aware of what I'm putting into myself and how I'm being as a person and my mindset. And then I started my own business. And there was all these areas about, wow, all these changes. And then it was like, okay, well, I need to keep learning. I need to keep growing. Every time I learn and get better, this changes my life, right? Like my business, my life of what I'm doing here, everything that I've thought about for, multiple decades is out the window, basically, right? I'm like an open slate, I'm there to learn. And then, when I met my wife, obviously at that event, but then going forward from there, she had a decent spiritual path as well. And that's one of the things that I asked for, being spiritual minded as well for that area of growth. And she had learned a lot more on those side of things. And I was very open, right, to do that. And I think a big part of me, and I recommend to others as you get a partner, is make sure that you're doing things together. Because if one partner's growing a lot and the other partner's not, the distance is going to get further and further and you will grow apart. So doesn't mean everything, but most big events that I would do personal development wise, I would make sure that my wife would be there. And that's sometimes even, waiting a whole year until I would have to convince her, to go to a particular event before going there together. Because I knew that if you go to a transformational experience, right, whether it's life, business, spiritual, whatever, right, you can't explain that to someone in simply when you've been there for multiple days. That's an experience that you've done and an upgrade, right, that you've done on yourself. So I recommend bringing people along the journey, and that's where we're able to grow together. And, it doesn't have to be necessarily everything, but that journey of growth and being around other people there is like, wow, okay, there's a bigger game out here and I want to be able to do that. And now that I understand about where I am, as a spirit, as well as where I want to be personally. It's like, well, I'm very in tune with who I am and how I'm portraying myself out there so that whatever situations come up, I can deal with these. And I have the backing, right? The support of my wife in what we do things. And then when I'm around other people, they are feeling that and they're going, oh, there's something interesting about Athin. He's at this vibrational level. He's at this level of growth in so many facets. I want to be around Athin. I don't know what it is, right? And then being able to attract that level of person and then going, what's something amazing that we could do? Can we grow together? Can we do something together? That partnering mentality. And I'm big on partnering. I think you can do something yourself. Yes, it take a while, but why not do it together with somebody else and, enjoy that journey together, whether it's your partner, whether it's just business partners, other people out there that have similar values, right? And then life starts to become fun, right? And I think, joy is a big thing for me. I want to be able to enjoy and doing something that is lifting me as a spirit. Like I enjoy doing the things. I'm not just doing it for the hell of it. Yes, sometimes in business you have to do things just for what you want to do and in life, but ideally get to the point where you're like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to be here, right? To do, to make that impact, to grow along in this lifetime. And when you're there and you're speaking your truth and you're in that zone, then life is unlimited possibility of what you could do and becomes really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. We're a couple of questions before we kick into the quick fire questions, and we'll in the this episode. Uh, what are your thoughts on the uh, like self-awareness? How does the self-awareness play in helping clients unlock their wealth and freedom?
Yeah. Self-awareness is so powerful. And it's really just understanding when I work with clients about going, did you know that you were doing this? And they're like,
Mm.
oh, no, because it was a habit. It was instinctual, right? And it's just like, oh, okay. And I said, well, did you know that you just said that? Oh, no, I didn't realize I just said that because it just happened, right? So self-awareness becomes really powerful because then I can hear and I can go, wow, that's a limiting belief. That's a limiting belief as they're talking. And then when they finish, I'm like, okay, we need to deal with these couple of things here because this is what's holding you back, right? So, and as a coach, you naturally have this, right? Where you have to be able to be a good listener and pick up on these cues from people. So when I work with my clients, it's how they get that. You can do it yourself if you're really good as well, right? Later, when you're like, okay, what am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I saying? That is going there. But in my sessions, I'm able to do that and be able to shift people very quickly, and then going, yeah, what is that thing? And delving deeper, because most of the time, what people say or what they do is normally surface level. So there's a lot deeper normally. So you have to ask the right questions. You have to delve deeper into what the core issue is or the core belief, that's the core habit, that's creating this. If you fix that, it's like dominoes, right? Everything falls down and there's just no resistance and there's just creation that can come from that. That's what good coaching mentoring does to get to that point and to be able to help people on that self-awareness journey. All of a sudden, like, wow, okay, bang. And then they're willing to change. And then boom, results happen very quickly.
Yeah. And the great thing about that is that when you're self-aware yourself and you pick up on things that you say and then you correct yourself and then all of a sudden, even though you may not be a coach, you may pick up on someone else saying something. And I was having a coffee with a guy from Toastmasters today, and he said the word, "I'm trying to do this." And I went, "Are you trying or are you doing it?" And and it's only because I have the self-awareness of, when you say trying, it means that you're trying to you're manipulating something. But when you're doing something, you're actually being the person already, right? And
Definitely.
so
Great one.
yeah, so I actually asked him and I said, "Are you trying or are you actually doing it?" He goes, "Well, I'm trying to do it." I said, "But you're doing it, right?" And he said, "Yes."
Love it. Yeah. It's a big shift, right? You got to believe it in the now. That's the thing. The trying is like a future tense. That's what I was, talking about before. So I am, right? Is like I am doing this,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah,
always the best mentality. So yeah, great points made and great example that anyone can really do this if you're aware enough to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the subconscious mind only knows about the now. It doesn't, the past is gone, the future's not even here. It only focuses on the now. And one thing I say to my clients is that before you go to bed, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Then ask your subconscious mind 3 questions that are burning things that you want answers to. And then go to sleep. And then when you're in your theta brainwave mode, that's when your subconscious mind will go relentless at trying to find the answer, right? And often, how many times have we done this where we think about or we ask a question and then a day or 2 later or even the next morning, the answers come, right? So the 2 times in the morning and the night, so when you're in theta mode, which is when you're going to sleep, and when you're on alpha mode, when you're just waking up, it's so important to be grateful and to put your intentions out there. I also used to do this thing called reprogramming, where I play a YouTube or Apple Music, where I had a recording that I would play for 9 hours while I sleep. And all through my sleep cycle, I've got positive affirmations reprogramming my brain. And and I did this a couple of times while after I got made redundant, and back in 2019 and then 2023. And I tell you what, it completely helped me because after a few days of this, it completely shifted, and I was more confident and I was okay with what was going on. But it's when we're stuck in that fear mode and we're stuck in that future mode, it's when you get the fear and anxiety.
Definitely,
So
mate.
we're going to go to the quickfire questions. We've already done these before, but I'm going to ask you again because I'm sure you're going to have a different answer. So what is your definition of success, and has that definition changed over time?
This is more of a new one, so this probably won't be too much different. But my definition of success is health, wealth, and freedom. So,
Nice.
am I being healthy? Am I creating wealth? And there's multitudes of wealth, and I have enough freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do. And there's multitudes of that as well. As long as I have those, then I'm successful. It's not a number, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, who's been your greatest inspiration and why?
Greatest inspiration. I don't know what I said last time, but you know what I will say. What's coming to me right now is Michael Jackson, right? And I'm going to put it out
Yeah,
there a little bit.
he was my inspiration.
Yeah, he's the king of pop, right? And he was just changing the game. He would do things that people wouldn't do. And growing up, I used to, have a lot of fun. Like I taught myself how to dance, right? For when I was like, 14 years old. I used to go out to underages and then go out to clubs, even slightly underage at clubs, without an ID, but and go through. And I built myself into just being creative, right? I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. Like these other people were going to do dancing lessons, and I would just go, what do I feel like doing, and just be creative. And even me doing voices, I would do voices, right? And all of that growing up. And I used to have dance battles, and I'd never lose one, right? And because everyone would be like, where did you learn that stuff from? I'm like, I created it myself. I'm just having fun, right, with it. So it's being different, it's being bold, putting yourself out there. And this is something that I need to remind myself of, and something that I need to keep doing and putting myself more out there. And I think this is a recommendation to everybody, is that authenticity is extremely powerful, and showcasing that authenticity as much as you can will create huge amounts of business success, personal fulfillment, and all of that as well. And Michael's, an amazing person that's allowed me to do that in my younger years, but then also as I do it in the present and the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Um, he was a big inspiration of mine. Um, I mean, I could sing like him, but I couldn't dance like him. So yeah. Um,
Nice.
what is something that you believe that others may disagree with?
Yeah, we've talked about the spiritual element and the past lives and the genetic levels of things, right? And I think a lot of people may not be ready to hear this, or may not be ready to work with certain types of modalities, or the word healers maybe, or whatever it is like that, about what it is that's going to help you to shift. But they've been very powerful, what I've talked about today. And I recommend that everybody believes that there is that higher power, that there is these things that hold us back, that is outside of our current awareness, and that we can work on it ourselves, or more realistically, get other people to help us with it as well.
Totally. Yeah. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say is capitalize on your opportunities as soon as possible. Like, there's so many, I know a lot of us are probably like, oh, I should have done that. I should have done that. And you can't like do anything about that now, right? So there's no point in worrying about it, right? But it's like, why did I wait this long? Like, I was just reflecting the other day. I think reflection is really powerful for everybody generally, right? I was reflecting, going, wow, it's been a year since I had this idea, right, in my mind. And I was like, I haven't done anything in a year, right? And I'm like, fire, this is massive. And I'm like, I'm planning now to do it much more, just because things get in the way, right, of doing something. So it's like speed of implementation. How quickly can you do something and implement it? And I think I would be in a much different stage than I would be right now. It's not necessarily I would change a lot, but I would be there much quicker, instead of just sitting around, not doing anything and taking the action.
Yeah, yeah. I want to share a little story. Um, last year, I started my coaching journey, and then I sort of wasn't making any income. So I went back to my comfort zone, which was like, I need a job, I need a job. And I was going, universe, I need income, I need a job. And universe goes, okay, here's a job. So I go into the council, working there. 3 months into the role, I get restructured. And then 3 months later, I get redundant for the fourth time in my career. And I'm like, okay, what was the learning in that? Why? And then I realized that actually what I'm meant to be doing is helping people who are going through that change, and helping people become more resilient and heal through the trauma and the abandonment and rejection, because that has been my past, and that's what I've, you know. And then I came to the conclusion that, you know, I had that opportunity last year to continue on doing what I was doing, but my focus was different, right? But this time around, I have had more clarity around exactly what I'm meant to be doing and where I'm going, and it aligns with my purpose and the mission, purposeful mission in life. And I have this dream of starting a foundation for people who've been abandoned and rejected and have gone through trauma. And I have this dream to be able to help all these people so that they can thrive and live a life that they love, you know. So what happened was I get made redundant, and the next week, I'm in full steam ahead, rebranding myself and posting every single day, being consistent. And I posted last week on Friday and said I'm starting a 5-day challenge on the 25th of November to 29th. And I haven't got all the course material yet, but I've put it out there because now I get to deliver that, right? And I get to
Yeah.
take people on a journey, and I get to help people while they're going through this change to have more confidence and resilience in themselves, to confidently then move to the next phase of their life. And maybe some of these people will come to the realization that they're not meant to be in corporate world anymore, like I'm not. Because every time I think about going corporate world, I'm thinking about prison cell, going back to my 7-year-old self in an ashram, feeling like I've been abandoned and rejected. And so, yeah, so it's amazing what happens when, and as you know, universes always say yes. So if you say, I want a job, yes, you want a job, here you go. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work out. And you're like, okay, I didn't need a job. I just need to focus on myself and move forward. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome story, mate. I love that. And you had the awareness, right, of what it actually means, and to be able to put it in place.
Yeah.
You got the signs, the signals to be able to do what you're meant to do. So it's awesome.
It took me a couple of weeks to kind of get it, but then it was just like a slap in the face, and it's like, come on, you know. Yeah. Okay, last question. What is one message that you want to share with the world?
I'll just say, stay curious. I think curiosity is really powerful. So no matter who you're dealing with, right, whatever level of success, what they're doing in life, what they're doing in business, stay curious, going, why is this person saying this? Or, what is their views? And I think you have a level of curiosity, you are more open as a person. You're not making judgment. You're not shutting people down unconsciously, right? You're more curious about what they're doing. And when you're more open, you see more possibilities, and then you'll be able to make better decisions and create better relationships and ultimately more success or whatever you're wanting to create in your life and your business. So the curiosity lens is extremely powerful to be able to have an amazing life.
Awesome. Thank you, Athin, for coming and joining us again. I love chatting with you because you always give some gems and lots of inspiration and insights. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. So if you've been listening to this podcast episode or watching it, I encourage you to connect with Athin. We'll put the links in the show notes, and I encourage you to connect with either Athin or myself. Share the episode with your friends, your family, and your workmates. Post it on social media and tag us in so that we can see the comments. And if you haven't already done so, please follow and subscribe to this podcast so that we can get it out to the wider world. By the way, in a couple of weeks' time, this podcast is going to be 1 year old. And I'm so excited that I've seen this through to 1 year of the Champion Mindset Collective. Most people who start podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes. And I think by the time this year is ended, I think I'll be somewhere in the 80s or the 80s or so, 80 something episodes. So I really appreciate your support. If you've been supporting me all the way through this journey, stay with me because there's some amazing stuff coming. We're going to be bringing you webinars and masterclasses and all sorts of stuff in the future. And so we'll be bringing back lots of these guests over and over again, and maybe diving deeper into some of the material as well. So last thing I want to say is you are loved, you are worthy. Champion your life, champion your greatness. Have an amazing day.